Yeah, hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. This is Javed Sayed from Big Data Dimension, and I have with me Tahir Aziz with us as well. I believe we have a good attendance today, so let's hold tight, and we'll be covering how our solution will help you guys moving from Netezza to the cloud. So let's wait, I think, for a few more attendees to join, and then we'll start momentarily. So let's give a few more minutes, and then we will kick a start. So please, the people who are on the webinar, please raise your hand whenever you have any questions, or if you guys can hear me okay. So please do give your yes or no in the chatting block, so that way I know that everybody can hear us okay and can see the screen. Okay, I can see the Mark raise hand. Lisa, I can see you raising hand. Rajkumar. Okay, so that sounds good. It seems like that everybody is okay. So we can get it started. Just give a few more minutes. I think there are some other people who will be joining. Okay, so we got a full attendance now, so let's get it started. So thank you everybody again for joining our webinar series. So we will basically cover some pain point with Netezza, and I think most of you are aware that Netezza is going to sunset based on the IBM deadlines for that. So we will cover some alternative, that what alternative you have in place when you are planning to move away from Netezza. So we'll cover that. So in today's agenda, these are our agenda. We will cover about our company overview, that what exactly we do, and then we'll talk about Netezza sunset schedule and your options. Then we will talk about need for legacy data warehouse modernization, that why exactly you need data warehouse modernization at this stage. We will also cover some points about how data warehouse, which is being built for the cloud, can help in this specific time. And there are some other advantages of that, which will cover a data share house innovation, some reference architecture, and then some customer success stories. So while we will walk through the webinar, if somebody has any questions, you can just basically raise your hand, and then maybe we will have a question answer session after we're done with the webinar, and we will be able to help or answer any of the question that is being raised, and then we will circle back after our webinar. So this is basically about us. Hello, we are Big Data Dimension. So our main motto is to help enterprises like yours to be data-driven and accelerate performance by 200 times at 1/10 of the cost. So that's what we will cover, that how we are helping with that specific reason, and how we help you guys in moving forward with the cloud-driven journey. So if you can see with the name, we started with focusing on the big data sites. On these are the specific use cases that we solve. We help enterprises for data warehouse to the cloud share house, which is the data warehouse modernization. We help you with the analytic acceleration, with the cloud migration from any legacy MPP databases that you're planning to move away. We will help you out with the solution strategy and with the advisory on that side, will help you with the data lake modernization, cloud data replications. Suppose you moved into the cloud, now you want to replicate the data. We have our own in-house product and solution for that, and also your edge-based application modernization. Will also help with any ETL migration solution that you're looking. If you're using any costly ETL solutions like Ab Initio, Informatica, Data Stage, so we'll have a solution for that as well. And then other 2 points are basically over the data governance and basically the DevOps acceleration in the cloud. So how we make business data driven, we focus on this 6 point by optimizing data access, empowering decision making, educating business users, and then decreasing the data cost, impacting global businesses, and assessing data migrations. So based on these 6 bullet points, we basically focus on our strategy to help enterprises move into the new environment. These are some of our customers where we are currently helping with either migration or with data lake modernization or data warehouse modernization. So we're currently helping Universal Studios, Bill Gates Foundation, 3M, and Citi are a few of the top customers where we are helping and moving them away from their legacy MPPs. Some of them are moving away from Teradata, some of them are moving away from Netezza into the cloud environment. These are some of our partners. So we've been partners in the industry with the industry leaders, like with the Snowflake, AWS. We are advanced technology partner with AWS. We are advanced technology partner with Azure. And then we are gold partner with Talent. And we partner with Hadoop side with Hortonworks and with Aluma and with Power BI as well. These are our products overview. We'll cover it quickly. So we have our own product for Cloud Insight, which will help you, give you the overall analytics of the cloud platform that you are moving. If you're moving into Azure, into Snowflake, or into AWS, so our platform will give you overall insight that what is happening in your platform, how much cost you are going to spend, and we will do some predictive analysis as well based on the AI framework that we have that will tell you that what exactly the cost account you have in your company and how much money you are spending and how much you would going to spend based on your cloud decision if you're planning to move into the cloud. This is our platform which will help you move with the name Cloud CDC. It's a change at a replication platform which will help you move away from traditional MPPs databases back into the cloud. So we will help you move into the Snowflake, into Redshift, Azure, Vertica, or any other thing in the cloud. It will provide you basically build overall data migration, data lake, and cloud data replication, and it helps you doing continuously, securely, and ingestion and replication way, and affordably because it's fully built in the cloud. So it's just with single clicks. You don't need to build any code. You don't need to write any jobs. Based on your source selection, it will automatically create that data pipeline and help you move into the cloud seamlessly. So now the main topic for today is Netezza sunset schedule and your options. So we will cover in detail that why exactly there is a dire need for the people who are using Netezza to look for alternative options, and we will cover all those alternative options in detail, and we will cover what are the advantages and what are the pain points and what exactly you should use or you would be choosing moving forward, and will be help you out with that specific journey. So this is a Netezza sunset schedule. You can see it on April 2017. These are the specific products that IBM supporting and was supporting, and they have taken out the support, which is basically the people who were using the enterprises which were using the data system for Hadoop, information server, data quality pack for Netezza, information server for Netezza, and basically for Netezza high capacity appliance 1000 that has been discontinued support in 2017. In April 2018, IBM has again announced that they are discontinuing the support for high capacity appliance C1000 series and Netezza application services. And I think for next year, June 30th, 2019 onwards, there are 2 other appliances which are left for Netezza, which is Netezza 100 series and 1000 series, so they will be discontinuing that as well. So after that, we will cover that what would be the options for the Netezza users if you're already an existing customer for Netezza. So we will cover that in the next slide now. So these are the specific key concerns with Netezza customers when you are planning to move. So we divided that into the 4 points. So I think you will be needing assistance for software version upgrade and update, repair, and rollback options. Suppose you have a lot of data being sitting in there. So whatever decision you're going to take, So this is the main, I think, the pain point that you guys will be looking into. The second thing would be the security, because security, encryption, and firewall, once you're moving or deciding to move into the newer environment, so this will be the main key factor to making a decision into your future environment, that it should have a robust security and it should basically support encryption, inbuilt encryption, so that way that will help you in securing your PHI or your any other sensitive data, so you don't need to write those encryption processes yourself. And there are concerns, basically main concerns if you're not moving to these other platforms. So these are the main pain point that we will basically uncover. And the other third point is the compliance, that how your IT will be basically in compliance with that specific move, like the IT asset, license, and the process. And the last point is we will cover that modernization and futuristic technology and cloud enablement. So these are the main four areas which we have identified where customers are looking into, and then we will cover in detail that what are the options here. So these are the alternative for Netezza customers. If you can see, we have identified into 4 layers. So first one is the upgrade to IBM new offerings, which is IBM Power System, IBM DB2 in the cloud, or IBM Integrated Analytics. So we'll cover that what exactly you will be gaining with that and what exactly you will be basically missing with that. And second option is commercial MPPs, like either you will move away from legacy Netezza again back to another legacy platforms like Teradata, Vertica, Oracle, Exadata, or any other MPP architecture system. So you'll be end up spending a lot more, and we'll cover that what exactly you'll be gaining out of that. The third option is you will basically move it into the Hadoop environment like Cloudera, Hortonworks, and or MapR. So we'll cover those pain points as well, that what exactly will Hadoop covered, and what you will be lacking if you decide to move into the Hadoop. The fourth platform is basically the next generation modern platform, which is being supported by Snowflake, which is a data warehouse built for the cloud. We will see that how exactly that will help you in moving forward. How will it help with the scale, with the security, with the concurrency, and with basically overall resiliency in the organization demands. So these are some of the comparison that we have done based on the Snowflake versus Netezza and other alternatives. So if you're comparing the cost, the very first factor we are comparing is Snowflake, Netezza, IBM solutions, cloud solution, and other MPPs, and then Hadoop. So on the Snowflake side, you will be basically paying what you use. They will be charging basically only on the compute. So there is no upfront cost, only based on the queries that you are running, you will be charged only for that. Whereas if you stick with Netezza, definitely there is no life after 2019, and it's costly. IBM Cloud Solution is coming up with their offerings, but that is again, you have to pay that specific dollars amount to use their services. Similar way for Teradata and Oracle, and you have to pay, I think, upfront cost and then maintenance cost moving forward. And similarly for Hadoop as well. So you have some upfront cost, and then it's again difficult to manage. Second point we're talking about is hardware and software maintenance. So with Snowflake, it's zero maintenance. With Netezza is high. IBM Solution Cloud, based on our research, is low. And other MPPs is high, and Hadoop is medium. And then we're talking about overall software development lifecycle, what exactly you will be getting. So with Snowflake, it's pretty easy because it supports your SQL standards. So you're not going to learn any new language. It's pretty simple. That most of the industry people who are working in the database arena for the last decades, they know about SQL. There is no new learning curve over here. And it's basically one platform for structured and non-structured data. So that is a very key point to note down here. Most of the enterprises that we see are dealing with moving the data from either XML, JSON, Avro, Parquet. And the main pain point that they basically come up is how would they parse these type of data? Because there is no other tool or any other solution in the market which will allow auto parsing of these things and let you use this thing in a traditional database format. Whereas Snowflake is a platform which lets you basically dump your data as is, and then it will automatically convert that into the relational format. You don't need to write any ETL for that. So that's the main major advantage for that. Whereas in Netezza, you have to basically convert the semi-structure with the ETL tool, and similar with the MDM with IBM Cloud solutions. So they are basically giving a medium level support for JSON formats, you still have to do some minimal parsing. In other, in Teradata and Oracle Exadata, you have to do that parsing yourself. And in Hadoop, it's very complex. You have to write the processes in the pig scripting or with any other scripting language. When we talk about concurrency, this is another major point that you would like to decide, that how would you basically gain on the concurrent by running a multiple process. So with Snowflake is unlimited, with Netezza is limited, with IBM Solution Cloud is limited, and similar way for other platforms are limited as well. When we talk about data encryption, this is a very important point, which when you should consider when you're planning to move into the cloud, is that your new platform should support fully encryption based on whatever platforms we are, whatever privacy data that you're using. So Snowflake will support most of those privacy or unstructured things with the fully encryption option. Whereas Netezza is partial, you have to do that encryption yourself, and some of Netezza will support that, some of the use cases. With IBM Cloud Solution and rest of others are also partial. Now, if you talk about scalability, the Snowflake will let you scale at unlimited volume, which is they are having a concept of a virtual data warehouse, where just with a single click, you can scale based on that how much big volume or how much heavy lifting you would like to do. So based on that, you can do that. Whereas in the case of all the other environments, you have to basically you need to add extra servers. There is a dependency on the IT, onto IT and the hardware teams to let you basically use that. Whereas in the case of Snowflake, that's not the case. You can easily do that by having the control in your hand. So some more features here. So there is another feature that we found is attractive is time travel, which will let you, suppose you have your data sitting in a Snowflake, and you basically accidentally, while running any query, then in production environment, you accidentally basically drop that records. Now, how would you get that important data back? Snowflake will let you basically recover the data back up to 30 days, where you can go back and you can run the time travel query, and you can easily able to recover each piece of the stuff that you have basically that you have lost by either accident or by any other user actions. So that is the best part of it, which has not been supported by any of other platforms at this point. Another thing is like you will be charging only pay what you use. So there is no upfront cost. So you will be paying only for the queries that you are running. Yes, you heard it right. It's just the query. That means if you're running a heavy query, then you will be paying only the compute cost for that. And for the other platform, you can see is not supported, and is a very limited support in the IBM Cloud Solutions. So you still have to pay the cost for that specific licensing environment to them. Other major point to find out is the simplicity, that when you are planning to move into the new environment, how comfortable it is for you to basically use, instead of no learning curve would be there, and how easy it is for you to basically move and transition to the new environment. So based on that, based on our analysis and implementation, we found Snowflake is pretty easy, because it's a SQL-based platform which will support both structured and non-structured data. Whereas in the other cases, you still have to basically do a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of dependency on the existing or the new ETL tool to do most of the job done. When we talk about the performance, it's definitely because they are supporting unlimited concurrency and unlimited scalability. So that's basically totally let them far apart as compared to Netezza and other solutions, where you can basically increase the performance based on your need and on just single click. On the data encryption side, we already discussed about it, but this point is really important for the PHI data and for the sensitive data. So you can have that data encrypted on the fly, which is not possible with any other platforms you have at your disposal. Some other points are the auto-tuning, which is being supported, and basically overall support for enterprise data modernization. If you are planning to build a data lake, if you're planning to build a data vault, or if you're planning to build an overall data warehouse, so that can coexist in the same platform on a Snowflake, which has not been supported by any other platform. I think widely as being supported by Snowflake. So you can have both structures of data lake in a data vault 2.0, which will give you a scalability for your future releases, and data warehouse sitting in the same data warehouse. Other thing is the JSON processing, which is being supported, and I think we are comparing for the other thing what is other databases is not supported and is very limited support. The other point is basically built for the cloud. Specifically, Snowflake is basically built for the cloud, so that way you can scale and you will have a much more handle on your cluster, which you can basically control the way you would like to use it, and control the costing also based on your use case. Other important major point is the data sharing. So this is the innovation that Snowflake has bring into the market. So that really changed a lot of things, how you are doing business at this point. Suppose if I ask a question, how you are sharing your data, or maybe distributing your data between the different departments and with the third party. So for instance, if you are dependent on reading the data from a third party with FTP, or with either with FTP with API or with ETL, so you don't need to do that. I think we have some of the question coming through. Let me see who is. Okay, so we have a very good question about what about other cloud-based platforms like BigQuery or Redshift. Yeah, I think it's a very good question. Definitely Redshift or BigQuery are the good platforms, but if you cover the feature that we are covering here, which is specifically for the JSON parsing and for the data sharing, that is not being supported on Redshift and on BigQuery. And if you can see, Redshift is basically built on decade-old technology, which is sitting on the PostgreSQL, which is not anything new. They just basically wrap Redshift on top of PostgreSQL, which is not bringing anything new. You are just using the same platform in the cloud. Whereas in case of Snowflake is major difference, and we will cover that in detail in coming slides as well. The major difference is basically definitely the data sharing, which will let you save a lot of cost by basically distributing your data. And even if you're planning to move your data from one environment to another environment, and you want to basically, you have a different team. Suppose you have a team of a data scientist, you have a team for the QA developers, you have a team for research people. So they want to use the same data. For that, what you can do with a single click, you can just create a data share and just create the clone, which will be linked with the same master. So they will get the changes from the master, but they cannot, whatever they are doing in their environment, that will not go back to the master. So that is a major basically major advantage that you are gaining, that with one single point of the master set, you will distribute in multiple environments without having to depend on any copies and writing any complex ETLs.
Hi, this is Tahir here. So one particular reason why we did not really included Redshift into this discussion was also on the basis of the principles, as Javed just mentioned. Redshift is basically an upgrade to a PostgreSQL made available to you in the cloud. But there are actually 3 or 4 major issues, major components on which Snowflake actually performs better. The first one is the unlimited hardware provisioning capability. If you're having a Redshift cluster, you're still limited by the shared nothing architecture. However, Snowflake is actually shared data architecture. So you can have your shared data accessed by multiple hardware resources that you can provision or runtime. This is something that is not supported by any other MPP architecture system, including Redshift and BigQuery. Second thing is the data distribution. Since Redshift or systems like Redshift have their data redistributed, a lot of time they are struggling with their auto-tuning capabilities, which is not the case in Snowflake. Third is the Snowflake is a central platform that is future-oriented, single stop shop for structured and semi-structured data at one place. And this is something that you are going to lack in the Redshift. So based on those points, we did not really included that. One last comment is like Snowflake is actually a platform built on cloud. So it's actually built on Azure or AWS. It's not really a competitive. They're not really the competitor of each other, to be honest, in that sense, but they do really actually support each other in multiple ways. And when you go down to the architecture, you learn more about it.
Okay, so we have 2 more questions coming through, so let's answer those as well. What about totally get it? Just when comparing to Netezza, I would assume BQNS may be more relevant than Hadoop and Oracle. So it's good to see those reasons next to these.
Sure. I think it's a valid point, and definitely it's a good suggestion for our upcoming seminar series. We would definitely include one more column here along with Hadoop. The reason why we actually chose Hadoop or other MPP systems are because most of the customers that we are dealing with are actually considering these other options when they are going to cloud. When they're moving away from Netezza. But it's a good point. We'll definitely include that in the coming seminar. Thank you very much.
Any other questions before we move forward to the next discussion? Okay, so I think you're asking what about Presto and a Spark engine. So definitely, Raj, I mean, that is the option, but if you're basically going on Presto or on the Spark, so basically you are again dependent on the Hadoop side of it or on the Spark side of it, which means you will not able to control the concurrency and the data sharing feature and basically the scalability yourself. You still have to depend. If you need to scale that, you have to depend on the IT support to go and add another cluster for you. Whereas in this case, we are saying that this is not the case where you can handle directly from your side because it's fully in the cluster, it's fully in the cloud. And we will show you how easy it is basically to add another cluster with a single query way. And other thing is the compute, because Snowflake charge you based only on the queries that you are running. You will be not being charged for any upfront platform cost. That is the case with the Spark and with other systems as well. Hope that answers your question. Thanks. So let's move on to the next slide. I think we had a good round of discussion session here.
So we'll actually try to go ahead and cover in the next 15 minutes, most probably everything else, and we'll reserve the last 15 minutes for questioning and answering. Feel free to please put your question in the chat window, and meanwhile we'll try to educate you more about the concepts. So some of your questions that you're asking may be already answered, but still feel free to put all your questions in the chat window. We can handle that in the last 15 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, Tahir. So let's move on. That basically what exactly is the need for legacy data warehouse modernization. We will cover those here, and then we will go and do some deep dive into those advantages that we are basically suggesting to move on to the Snowflake environment as your next platform. So here we are covering that why modernize the data ecosystem. So if you can see, the modern data stack must be easy to maintain. That will be the very first choice of the customer. It needs to be cheap to run, support real-time analytics, and scale instantly so that IT can respond to the business needs quickly at minimal cost and complexity. And if you can see, if you see with these things, these are the feedback from our customers that we have helped and that the customers that are looking forward to it. And based on that, we feel that there is definitely a need for this, that when you're looking for your modernization solution, so it should basically handle all of these pain points. So very first thing is that for the new solution that you're looking, it should eliminate the complexity. It means if you are in a complex environment, you're dealing with a lot of complexity. So with the future modernized solution should basically resolve all those issues. Second point is gain insight faster from your data. So that will basically help you to load the data faster and to have the data availability much faster, because now, as we discussed with the data sharing feature, you don't need to write, or with the JSON parsing or Avro parsing or Parquet parsing feature, you don't need to write complex ETL processes to basically convert those things. So your data will be readily available as soon as you load into your database, and you can share that with the end business users pretty quickly. And other thing is that you will be meeting your SLAs with confidence, because that platform will give you a total security and total support and scalability based on what you're trying to do for running your process, either how complex those processes are. So you have that solution available in the cluster itself. Other main thing is that you will be eliminating the data silos, because that specific modern data platform will help you build data lake, data vault, data warehouse on the same platform, and they can coexist on the same platform without basically learning any new learning curve, either with NoSQL or with any other language barrier that you have with other platforms. And other thing, the major point is accelerate your go-to-market, because that is the main point for the customer, that if you're planning to launch any product, you're planning to launch or onboard any customer. So with this specific solution, because you're getting away with complex parsing and with ETL and with API that you have to do on the legacy platform dependence, that you have dependency on the legacy platforms, you don't need to do that anymore. So with that, it will definitely accelerate your go-to-market. And we are basically seeing that acceleration by 200 times. And most of the customers that see that their go-to-market with the existing platform is anywhere from 6 months to a year, we are seeing that coming down to at least 3 months time frame, where you can easily see that time saving and basically the cost saving for you. And it basically increase your business growth with the modern data sharing, because now with whatever solution you are planning to bring in the market, it's much faster, and you basically share your data with much more security and with much more confidence that you were doing it earlier. Because with the data sharing, if you're either doing it with FTP, with API, or with custom ETL, there is a complex skills need to do that, all that thing which is being covered entirely in the platform itself. So we will start with another slide from here, and that will cover basically the main so this is basically we are covering the main advantages of Snowflake, and I'll have Tahir pick up from here, and he will basically cover these moving forward.
Thank you, David.
So Tahir will take over from here. I believe you guys have lost the session from his point. Tahir, you can start.
All right, sorry about this technical glitch. In the interest of time, I think we'll have to be a little quick, but I'll still try to cover things on a good scale. So we gave the comparisons from Netezza and the other options, and you saw a matrix giving all the feature set that actually gives some edges to the Snowflake. But the major question is, if you are an organization, what is that something that you cannot do as of today? And the question really is that with any of the architecture that is being available in the market, there are some challenges. The first one is the unlimited concurrency. It's not something that you can achieve with any of the existing architecture system like Teradata or Netezza, because you are confined or bounded by the fixed set of hardware resources. And that hardware can only process X number of queries at max. The moment you go X plus 1, it has to start queuing, and then based on the priority, one of them gets completed after the other is done. And because of this, it's something that you struggle when you are working in a multi-department environment, and all of us has to meet SLAs and requirements that actually pushes you further to either do upgrades or scale your system, and that's something the challenge with the existing system. Similarly, the fast elasticity of data is something that's a challenge. The cost to scale is something that's very high. If you are on a platform like Teradata, they come with their own native special storages, which are very expensive to buy if you want to scale. The other issue with these platforms, including Redshift, is the high availability, especially in case of upgrades. If you want to scale your nodes, you actually have to bring your cluster down and then add a new node and then bring it up back again. So high availability becomes challenging during the upgrades. Then the security. By default, none of these platforms support any kind of data encryption or compression. You have to work around it, and you have to find the ways to compress the data, which is possible. But when it comes to encryption, that's not something that you can. That's not something that is possible with these platforms, especially when the data is on the fly. Here we have a case study of Capital One. We're going to talk about briefly their challenges. And what they wish to do is they wish to give a unique experience to all of their customers, who are actually trying to deliver some value. So, for example, your sales department, commissioning department, marketing people, this century is all about data. So all the decisions are made by data, and it's very critical to have the information available in a timely manner. Every second counts. And this is where the issue comes. In Capital One, they are struggling with this problem because they have multiple people 8 a.m. in the morning, and everybody is trying to run their dashboards, refresh their queries, and they kind of throttle the system and run into these issues where they're missing their SLAs because there's too much work for the system to be done 8 o'clock in the morning, and then system cannot really handle everything. They could not meet their business needs because of this fast changing data. So data is changing at very rapid pace. We all know that. With this innovation of your non-structured data, social media, and all those data feeds, there's a lot of data coming in, and to ingest that data on those expensive storages is very challenging. So if you want to scale that out quickly, it's pretty challenging. The high availability or system downtime during maintenance was a pain for Capital One. And the last thing was the innovation. How do we innovate? Because if they just have a requirement to handle the unstructured data, they were looking to explore other options, how to handle that. So how Snowflake can actually help you? Snowflake is a platform that is built for the cloud. It is a technology that is built after the cloud was innovated. This means it's not really restricted by the old architecture or old perspectives. Snowflake offers unlimited concurrency. You have unlimited access to the hardware and software resources. You have unlimited storage. You have zero downtime, and you have a lot of encryption available on each layer. Your all data is secured at every level. It's also encrypted on every level, from the access to the computation to finally that it lands to your client machine. It's encrypted on all layers. Second thing to note about Snowflake is the level of security that they are offering is one level ahead from the native platform. So Snowflake currently is being offered on Amazon AWS. It's also offered on Microsoft Azure, and you can have the security enabled for both of them. So the security offered by Snowflake is actually additional to what you're going to get with your native platform. There are two components that are very important for Snowflake. We have to wrap up in next 5 minutes, so I'll just cover whatever we can in 5 minutes, and then we have to go to the questioning answering, I believe. So what do you think? Should we?
Yeah, I can cover it.
Yeah. So there are only two aspects that actually are important. The first one is the unlimited compute for Snowflake. In a traditional database platform, you always come with a pre-provisioned hardware resources that will allow you to run X number of queries. Snowflake works differently. Snowflake has a shared data architecture. So all of your data actually exists on one place, versus the MPP systems like Teradata or Netezza, where the information is actually distributed along multiple worker nodes. Same is also true for Redshift. The same is also true for Hadoop. This is the principal difference where Snowflake take advantage of the Amazon or AWS or Azure cloud platforms, because now you can provision your hardware on the runtime, and this is the concept which they have taken advantage of. Snowflake actually allows you to provision your hardware resources at the runtime. So when you want to run your queries or ETL process or any data science or some analytics tool, at the runtime, whatever query they want to execute, they can choose the hardware resources that they want to consume, and then the hardware resources will go ahead and do the computation and get the data back to you. This way, you're not running into each other. There's no concurrency issues. There is unlimited of hardware resources available on the cloud. Also, there's unlimited storage available for you that is cheap, and that is taken care by the Amazon S3, or in Azure you can take the blob one. It's very efficient and cost effective as compared to having storage for Netezza or Teradata. And since it is available unlimited, you can bring in as much data as you want. You can load in parallel with other multiple users without affecting anybody's SLA or slowing them down. The system is highly available, it never goes down. The data is always automatically replicated across multiple regions, so there's really zero downtime or zero challenges with high availability, and that's something which is very critical and important for Snowflake. We talk about that briefly, and this is actually pay for what you use model. In Snowflake, you are only going to pay for the hardware resources or storage when you use them. So actually, you pay by the query. So I can choose to run 10 queries in a day and only pay for 10 of them, and for the rest of the time, I don't do anything. When the information is stored in the database at rest, there is very minimal charge for that. And to give you an idea, you can go to the Snowflake website. We can actually share the links after this webinar, that how much they're going to charge you per hour. And the dollar amount is really very low. It's like $3 an hour. That's not something that you can even imagine with Teradata or Exadata or Netezza, to be honest. With traditional databases, the issue is their storage and their compute is fixed, and you have to buy upfront. Whereas Snowflake, you pay as you go. And I think as simple as that is to make our point. For security or for the comprehensive security, it comes with all those basic authentication and access control that is being offered by any other database. But what actually gives them the edge is the capability to encrypt the information on all levels. So you can have the tri-secret secure customer managed keys. You can integrate with AWS. You can bring your own keys. You can encrypt the information everywhere, like on every layer. And also, these are like the certifications they already have. They're HIPAA compliant, they're PCI compliant. There's also some other sets of SOX compliant, and a lot of compliance certificates are already available. So if you're a banking organization or if you're working in healthcare, all those requirements are met by Snowflake, and that's one important thing for organizations to understand is the security of their data. Now, what makes Snowflake different? We'll talk about that, and then we'll close this discussion. We should move to the questioning answering. There are 3 things or 4 things that actually make Snowflake very, very different and unique from any competitive environment. The first one is the ability to handle structured and semi-structured data at the one place. It's a one-stop shop that can handle that can act as a NoSQL database. It can also act as your relational database. It can also act as your data warehouse. It can also act as your data lake. It can also help you do all your processing for machine learning. It provides and integrate with all the market industry tools like Tableau, Power BI, Python connectors are available. All machine learning libraries are integratable. It has connectors for R. So literally any use case that you can think of in today's world, modern analytics, it's supported by Snowflake. The second objective or second main point about Snowflake is the instant unlimited scalability. You can scale unlimited your storage, your compute and do it instantly. So if I run my query that's taking so long, I can stop my query, choose a different workload, run it again, and instantly my workload is automatically scaled up. There's zero management burden. Everything is taken care of by the software because it's actually built for that now. And last thing is the live data sharing. That's something that is not offered in any of the competition platform, where you can choose to share your data with external parties at with any additional cost. This is a high-level overview about the traditional architecture versus Snowflake architecture. As we were just talking about the shared nothing or shared disk architecture. But in both of these kind of information, like for example, the shared nothing architecture is something that is followed by Exadata and Netezza, where you have each node has its own data. Both of these are actually limited by their hardware resources, and it becomes very difficult to scale them instantly. The way Snowflake works is you have shared storage and unlimited computation layer, so you can actually scale out independently. And last thing to note about is, in Snowflake architecture, your storage and your computation are actually independent. So it doesn't matter like which CPU is going to talk to which data because it's all centralized. However, in a shared nothing architecture, your storage is actually coupled with your node. Your data is only accessible through a node, and it's not really possible to instantly scale it up or down. If that goes down, you have to actually bring down the whole system, provide a replacement node, and that's how you scale. Actually, it's not really something that you have to worry in Snowflake. And that's the last slide, which is actually a little bit details about the data sharing concept. As of today, if Capital One wants to exchange information with any other external party, what they are doing is they actually prepare a data extract in the form of files or put that to database and then give that information to the consumer, and then they SFTP those files and take it away. And the moment there is any change, all those APIs and intermediate table has to be changed, and it's very cumbersome, and there's a lot of cost that is involved. The concept of data sharing in Snowflake is very unique. It's only offered in Snowflake as of today. And what it can allow you to do is you prepare a set of data that you want to share, and that data is ultimately available to the consumer. The moment you change your version of the information, it will be immediately reflected on the consumer side. The advantages are you don't have to do any kind of FTP or transfers. The changes are actually instant. You can secure that information on the table level or view level, or even on the row level. You can share the same information with as many consumers as you want. Now, these are very good advantages for consumers, and also for the companies like Capital One, which is sharing data with multiple organizations like the credit scoring companies and all the external parties. And that's something that can help you a lot. So I'm going to stop here. I think we have covered a lot about the Snowflake as an architecture, and you can skip those slides because that's something, this one. Last thing that I think we should cover on a high level is how we can help you when you migrate from Netezza to a cloud environment like Snowflake. So actually, we have this process where we're gonna lift the information from Netezza, shift that information to the cloud environment, then modernize it using our standard ETL best practices, that how things should be optimized for cloud, and then validate or cross-validate the information if it's correct, and make it available to a modern cloud data warehouse that in our case is Snowflake. With respect to the migration strategies, there are two ways that we are promoting this in the market. If you are trying to migrate to Snowflake or any other cloud solution like Redshift or Google, as one of the customer asked, this strategy still stay valid. The first one is lift and shift, and in this one, what you do is you try to do it as a forklift. So you shift your whole data warehouse as an independent area and migrate at once. So you may see some downtime, but during that downtime, what we'll be doing, we will be just copying over all the information from the local machine to the cloud, and then processing that and make it available to the cloud. The only challenge with this approach is there's a time pressure, so you have to be done quickly. We can help you with our experience how you can do it quickly and faster. The second approach is the stage approach. In stage approach, what you do is you do multiple iterations of the data, and you keep your both systems up and running, your old and new one, and try to do this shifting one at a time. So you can go with one schema after the other, like one data mart or second data mart. And if you have a big centralized warehouse, we can start doing by some subject areas. And then over the course of a few weeks, you can actually do that. The only thing is that we are not expecting that during that time you're going to add something new to the platform. So there should be no new requirements or no upgrades to the data ecosystem. But during a stage approach, actually you can make this happen also faster with zero downtime on your client side. So this is it. This is like a high-level architecture of how Snowflake is being integrated. Since we'll be recording this session, also it will be available on our link. Please feel free to go and look into the details. But the sole point we're trying to make here is that it's actually able to ingest all your relational data, your non-relational data, using multiple set of tools that it supports. It supports Kafka, Eternity Cloud, Aluma. It's also available with our own product, that's Cloud CDC, and Talent Informatica. And then using the concept of Snowflake, actually you can integrate with n number of tools like R, Spark, ClickView, Tableau. All of these tools are supported. They have their respective connectors available. So it's highly market adaptive in that sense. And for non-relational data also, as we stated, you can do it through the command line, through the tools. that are listed here, but it's actually able to ingest all those information like JSON, XML on the runtime without any need to transform them. You just bring in the raw raw JSON file as it is, and the tool is very smart enough to guess all the schema, all the fields for you, and you just write it and you can just start analyzing that JSON data as a SQL on the front end. So I think that's what we can conclude with, Javed. This is how we can help on a high level. We can help you perform the assessment. We can help you do the data migration. We can also help you do the synchronization work for the real-time data ingestion using CDC. That's our own tool, or using your custom tool that you are using. We have done some successful client migrations also, for changing your dashboards and all that stuff to the new cloud solution. And definitely, last but not the least, we are a gold partner with Snowflake. We do have our customized training available for people to train them on the software of Snowflake and make them aware about the architectures of Snowflake. So please feel to get in touch with us. I think now it's time to quickly look at the question answer. We are sorry for this technical glitch that kind of detracked us for 10 minutes. Javed, can you look at the questions? I think maybe you have to stop sharing it.
Yes, just